Sometimes when I'm working with clients during a week, actually not even sometimes, all the time, I've heard similar themes that come up in my cases throughout the week. And one of the themes that I'm really aware of, generally, but just people were talking about a lot this week was the whole idea about their connection with somebody and feeling really alone in it. And when they tried to address what they felt wasn't working, they got the shutdown of the person and the refusal to work on it, which is so interesting. So today, what was identified by some of my clients was this idea of like, I'm going to stop hanging out with avoidant people, people that don't want to engage, people that don't want to have um, deeper connections with me, or people who don't want to put themselves in my shoes and empathize with what's going on for me. So I asked them the question of, did they notice the cues that they got that they were in an unhealthy dynamic with someone? And they talked about it as, I don't want to hang out with avoidance anymore. So how do you know you are? And what happens to you? Because a lot of times when we're in dynamics, and maybe I always come from an attachment motto, like looking at insecure attachment, avoidant, insecure attachment as the baseline. And there's lots of differentiations between those three. And so a lot of times the insecure attached person is attaching to the avoidant because that has the perfect cycle, right? Of um, triggering them to try to push out and pursue the avoidant, i.e., the distancer. Super common dynamic in couples, the distancer and the avoidant, the distancer and the pursuer, sorry. Um, and so I asked, what's the cues that you're in that kind of connection? So some of the cues were, I feel ignored. I feel insecure. I start feeling really insecure. I feel super confused by what's going on. And I feel angry, and I feel like I get told and put in position that I'm wrong if I set a boundary. So I want to explain each of those cues and what they mean in terms of an attachment model engagement with an avoidant and an insecure attached person. So ignored, yes, you are being ignored because the interaction that you're seeking is too complicated, right, for that person. And also sometimes when people feel challenged emotionally, they withdraw. And if it was a healthier model of a person or someone who's working on being in a healthier dynamic, they would actually come out and seek out problem solving or discussion or trying to understand what's going on for that person or be accountable for how they were acting. And then the idea of confusion is there's two different realities being pushed out, the withdrawal with that reality and the um, insecure attachment or the pursuer's reality, which is, I just want to have a connection with you. I just want to understand what's going on. I want to work something out. I want to solve this problem. I want to have a nice day or a nice time with you. Or I just want to have a decent communication. So the confusion might be that the other person at that point, the avoidant, might gaslight. And I know that's a common overused term, but gaslight means their interpretation of the situation is completely different. And it's not, sometimes people are like, is it vindictive that they're gaslighting? And sometimes I think it is, and sometimes I think it isn't. Sometimes I think it's that bigger defense to push someone away is just to not acknowledge the sort of common reality that's going on between two people. Like if you're taking care of kids, you might have a completely different interpretation about what the kids needs, or you know that the other person would never agree with what you've decided, you being the avoidant. And so it's a confusion of reality, like what's real here? I'm starting to feel crazy in my mind. And then there's anger because the more confused you get in an interaction and you can't understand what's going on, and you're a person that just wants to solve it, have a good communication, and move forward, it's so confusing and frustrating and almost like blow a gasket reactive in your mind because there's nothing you can do to solve it. That's when it's really important if you're dealing with someone where you feel like I can never have this really healthy interaction with this person or discussion or figuring something out, um, to notice what's happening to you and to also notice that you're not going to get that. So watch your level of anger rise, because if we're really truly trying to be in healthier relationships with people, we have to look at how we react when we're triggered. And that might mean really naming your trigger and stepping away, or knowing I'm in this unhealthy spot with this person again. I've been here before, it doesn't work. And so I'm going to need to step back, take a break, or communicate with them in a different forum like email or text, or lots of other options there. But watch how you react, because that's when you might need to look at your immature response to things. And if you can completely say and reflect on yourself and say, I really feel like I handled that well. I didn't yell. I didn't go more and more into trying to justify, point out their gaslighting, trying to go into argument with them. I actually stepped away and realized what part wasn't working and other ways to solve it for myself. So that comes to the next part of setting boundaries. And so, yes, setting boundaries, the avoidant could be like, you're wrong, you're bad, you're always punishing me, you're always controlling me. That's true. That could happen. But again, if you look at how you're doing that, you look at your own behavior in that, and the setting the boundaries is actually creating a closure. Like, the discussion is over, we're not working this out. So I'm going to tell you sort of how far I will go in this interaction. So when we're in relationships, I was listening to another story of that sometimes people feel really close to us, but they're actually kind of unhealthy, and they're not unhealthy, meaning we don't feel as close to them as they do to us. And we have to understand that other people have just different capacities of engagement. And it's fine for you to keep identifying, and it's important for you to keep identifying the people that you can be close to, the people that you can be more yourself with and relaxed with. It's so important. So when you're in that queuing in unhealthy responses in yourself, like your interactions that I described between um, uh, insecurely attached person and avoidant, and you're working on them, you start identifying what kind of interactions lead to, or what kind of people lead to these kinds of interactions. And that you might want to start looking at what other people in your life do you keep doing this with, that it doesn't really work, that the connection is challenging. The pursuer is like, I can make it work. I can hang in there. I can change this. I can do things that will be helpful to this person. I'll have compassion and empathy, and they'll change only if they want to. So if someone doesn't want to really listen to what's upsetting you in a connection and start working on their part of it, and if, of course, if you don't want to start changing your part of it, like maybe you do yell at a certain point when you're frustrated or confused, then it's not going to go anywhere. The relationship's not going to get deeper, but it also might be a cue to you that you need to work on your stuff, and you need to really identify who you can go deep with in relationship, because there's a lot of people out there, probably in your community and in your family and friends, who can go deep because you know how to do it and you want it. So that was just my thoughts for you from this week. And I hope it's helpful. Let me know if you have any comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more of my ideas about coaching and therapy and relationships. I hit all angles of relationships. It's what I do, what I love, and I walk the same walk as you. So look forward to talking to you again, and hope you found something in there that you can relate to. Bye for now.